On Friday, the Crow Wing County Sheriff's Office says they received a missing person report for 23-year-old Bryce Brogal. Brogal was last seen leaving a home in Center Township on Wednesday.
This wasn't just an ordinary disappearance. Bryce was last seen on October 26, 2022, in a quiet town in rural Minnesota. 2 days later, his girlfriend, Cordelia LaFlex, urgently called the police. She explained that Bryce had been on his way to a storage unit with her father. That was the last time anyone had contact with him.
And then you left here.
We left here.
And where did this interaction occur?
It happened just right out here. We got out, got just down, started to get up the steep, and the lights came on, and it happened right down here.
But there was lights on them?
Yeah, there was the ones that come up front. I didn't see anything up top, but there was the ones that came on there, and then the car, it was kind of a dark gray, and it kind of looked like the new cars.
Okay.
But I'm not 100. Like I said, it came by like that and pulled in front of the vehicles, and they put him in the back seat. And the other one up, the officer, walked around, got in the car, passenger seat, and they left.
As investigators delved further into the case, they uncovered a series of unsettling text messages from Cordelia to Bryce on the night he vanished. Her messages were filled with worry, confusion, and desperation. "I love you. Miss you already? Are you planning on coming back for me? Please." But Bryce never replied. The investigation took a dark turn as it went on, revealing a far more disturbing story than anyone could have imagined. A missing 23-year-old case soon turned into something far more sinister. A storage unit, a sled, and a chilling discovery in the woods. This is the eerie tale of Bryce Brogal's disappearance. It was October 26, 2022, when Cordelia's longtime boyfriend, Bryce, disappeared without a trace. It was a cold day in Center Township, with temperatures hovering just above freezing for most of the day. The area was quiet, with a few resorts tucked in the lakeside hills, perfect for people looking to escape the busy city life. But now, as the weather turned colder, the tourists had left, and Cordelia, who lived in the same town as her father and boyfriend, had just returned from a month-long trip. She was waiting for Bryce to come back. He had gone to a nearby storage complex with her father to drop off some things. Cordelia and Bryce had been together for 8 months, since February 2022, and had just returned that afternoon from a cross-country trip. Bryce was familiar with her father, Michael, so they went to the facility alone. Cordelia stayed at home, waiting and texting Michael, growing impatient. There was no reason the trip to the storage facility should have taken so long. The Lex house was only about a third of a mile away from the complex, just a 10-minute walk. But eventually, Michael returned home alone and told Cordelia that Bryce had been arrested at the storage complex. According to him, 2 unmarked vehicles had arrived, and men in plain clothes had taken Bryce away in handcuffs. Michael said the men hadn't shown any identification and didn't explain which agency they were from or what the charges were. Cordelia trusted her father and had no reason to doubt his account. She texted Bryce again, "Baby?" and waited for him to reach out with an explanation. But there was no reply. On Friday, October 28th, with no new information, Cordelia went to the Crow County Sheriff's Office to report Bryce missing. She had nothing more to tell them than what Michael had already explained. So, the investigation turned to Michael first. They found him at a family Halloween party in Brainerd, and he took them to the storage facility, where they interviewed him further.
I figured when she had said, she said, she goes, "Dad, I'm going to go file a missing person report." And I was the last one seen with him.
Yep.
And I said, "Okay." And so I figured sometime, if not today, tomorrow, you guys will be talking with me. So
We could just start again with what happened there.
So we came here, we unloaded, we pulled out
And you're driving this
the white Escape with a U-Haul trailer.
So you guys, you drove right up here from the house.
Yes.
Unloaded. Well, how long did that take?
Oh, 45 minutes maybe. Maybe. Because he was looking at stuff and trying to figure out if he was going to keep something or take something.
Michael explained that they had gone to the storage unit to go through Bryce's things after his long trip with Cordelia. The process took longer than expected because Bryce was deciding what to keep and what to get rid of. They arrived at the storage unit around 5 p.m., and according to Michael, they finished around 5:45. But it was on their way out that things started to take an unexpected turn.
It happened just right out here. We got out, got this down, started to get up to speed, and the lights came on.
Michael said that as he and Bryce were leaving the storage facility in Michael's white Ford Escape, their car was suddenly intercepted by a group of strangers. These people had vehicles with lights, but not the typical siren lights, more like the ones used on unmarked police cars. Without explanation, they took both Michael and Bryce into custody.
Which vehicle did you end up in?
The white one.
The white.
The white Ford Escape.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Bryce ended up in which one?
The dark gray, whatever it was.
He was driving the white Escape.
Yes.
So which vehicle did you end up
the SUV.
Okay, and Bryce was put in which one?
The gray car.
And was there a cage in this car?
Not in the one I was in. It looked from the inside. It was plain Jane. It had a small in the center on the center console. It had a small looked like computer or something, but it was folded down.
Michael stated that they were immediately separated. If this was indeed an official arrest, it seemed to be a major operation, healing, with several officers involved.
Did he say anything to you when Bryce?
No, he didn't. I mean, when we left here, he said thank you for your help, and that was it.
Did you guys have any other conversations?
No, I mean, I asked him on the way up here how the drive was. He said nice, decent. Okay. You know, it really, I didn't care to talk with him.
There were signs of tension within the family, and Michael didn't seem eager to spend time with Bryce. So, the question arose, why had he offered to take Bryce to the storage unit without his daughter?
Did Cordelia not want to come with, or what was the deal? How come she could come with?
Said she was smelly and stuff and needed to shower.
Okay.
From Michael's point of view, this was just a routine trip to the storage facility, disrupted by whatever trouble Bryce had found himself in. Bryce and Cordelia had only returned from their cross-country trip that afternoon, and Michael believed it might have something to do with that.
She called me. She called me Sunday and said, Dad, I'm going to be back in a week or so. And I was like, oh, sweet. I said, what's going on? She says, well, things just fell apart over here. And then that was Sunday during the day, and then Monday she called me and she said, Dad, we're coming home tonight. And I said, what? She says, yeah, we're leaving tonight. This thing's turned really bad and we gotta go.
From what it sounded like, Cordelia and Bryce had gotten caught up in something far beyond their control, possibly something criminal.
After this went down, I went back because I thought she was going to be taken too. I figured when I got back to the house, she was going to be gone.
So you were thinking there's just something bad that they got into out there?
Out in Washington, or I did hear the two when the guy was taking cuffs out of me. He did say Arizona. He did say Arizona.
Cordelia and Bryce had spent 4 months traveling across the country, visiting places like Arizona and Washington State. They left the day after Cordelia's graduation party in June, and during those months away, anything could have happened. Michael clearly believed that something did.
So when I got home, I said, what the hell happened? I said, what's going on? I said something. I said, Bryce has been arrested. I said, and they were saying Arizona. And she's like, Dad, nothing. Well, then I did get out of her that the cops were called a couple times, but it was because she went to work with bruises on her face.
Nothing came of these interactions with the police. However, for Michael, it seemed this was a recurring issue, and possibly the source of his animosity toward Bryce.
Last spring, when he came to stay with us in March and stayed with him, there was a lot of verbal abuse towards Cordelia. There was a time where she came down with a big bruise on her face, which she said that was wrestling. My other daughter said it could be that. And then heard her crying. So there's always been the fighting and him being that way.
Michael claimed that Bryce was a heavy pot smoker and that both he and Cordelia carried 2 phones, one regular and one flip phone, which could be easily discarded. Finding Bryce's phone was clearly a priority for the investigators, but Michael said he had no idea where they were. As the interview continued into the evening, he began to offer more details. He mentioned that Cordelia had told him
she said
that Bryce said on the way back that he had a feeling that somebody was going to get arrested when he got back here. She said the FBI.
However, the investigators were aware that Bryce's disappearance could be connected to something more complex. They began to consider the possibility that it might have been staged.
Does he have any reason to
Just disappeared?
or make it look like he's disappeared?
I don't think so. I don't think, no. I mean, she said they were going to be going back to Montana to work. And that they were, I mean, he was very, what's the word, possessive. All her phones, or all her emails and everything went through his phone so he could watch who she was talking to. I think her Facebook, everything was going through his phone so he could screen everything.
The investigators requested to examine Michael's phone to check its location data and confirm where he had been on Wednesday evening, as he was the last person to see Bryce. Michael replied, "You know, I got home. We ran to Brainerd. I actually went and talked to my uncle, but his story seemed to be getting mixed up." Just about 10 minutes after Michael had denied having Bryce's phone, the investigators pressed him about it once more.
Had his phone, you weren't in possession of it today?
It was in the vehicle.
Okay.
I took it. I did take it. And I just wanted my daughter to get away from him.
He claimed that he had thrown the phone into the trash at a gas station in Brainerd that evening. When asked about this highly suspicious action, he explained that he did it to protect his daughter.
I was scared, to tell you the truth. I was scared of the whole situation. And I wasn't sure. I was afraid, honestly, of somebody tracking it and coming after my daughter.
A contradictory picture was starting to emerge. On one hand, there was the frightening story of a couple being chased by law enforcement, Bonnie and Clyde style, across the country. On the other, there was Michael's clear dislike and distrust of his daughter's boyfriend. To understand this complex situation, we need to explore the dynamics of Bryce and Cordelia's relationship, as well as the tensions within the Lex family. Bryce Brogal was born in Brainerd in September 1999 and had just turned 23 during his cross-country trip with Cordelia. The journey represented everything he loved, exploring the West and living an independent, back-to-basics life. His dream was to spend a year in Alaska, building a self-sufficient farm. Bryce met Cordelia in February 2022, and they quickly bonded over their shared love of dogs and a desire for adventure. Younger than Bryce, Cordelia graduated in June 2022, and that's when they set off across the country. Part of her motivation to travel was the tension in her home life. She felt her parents were too controlling, and her relationship with them was strained. According to Cordelia, one of the things that caused friction was her parents' overbearing nature. For example, they had hired a private investigator to follow one of her previous boyfriends. Her mother also had Huntington's disease, and her younger sibling, whom Cordelia supported, was transgender. These factors contributed to a tense home environment, but it was her father, Michael, who Cordelia found the most stressful. Despite seeming devoted to his family, he even had a tattoo reading "Daddy's Little Girls" with a silhouette illustration of them. Michael, born in 1977, was 45 years old and had grown up in Peat Lakes, Minnesota, a suburb of Brainerd. His parents divorced when he was young, and his mother remarried, bringing in new children, which left Michael with younger half-siblings. He graduated from Peat Lakes High School in 1996 and later moved to Center Township. Michael worked in construction in the past but was now self-employed, taking on various odd jobs around the neighborhood. However, Michael's history was far from clean. In early 1999, at the age of 21, he pleaded guilty to third-degree criminal sexual conduct and was sentenced to 5 years of probation. In 2018, he pleaded guilty to another sex offense, this time fourth-degree criminal misconduct involving an adult considered developmentally disabled and mentally impaired. Records indicated that this person initially refused to have sex with him, but eventually agreed after Michael insisted. As a result of these offenses, Michael had taken multiple polygraph tests in the past, 4 to be exact.
One of the things, I don't know that we're at that point in this investigation, is a polygraph test.
Yeah.
Okay. In Minnesota, polygraph tests can't be used against you. So if you take it and you fail, it's not like we can say, you failed.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you take it and you pass, it's just one more thing and we're like, all right, just clear.
Yeah.
So that's a tool that's out there. We have it available to us. It would be, I would explain the whole test to you.
I've taken them before.
Okay.
Yeah, actually past 4 you had to take them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you understand how they work.
Yeah.
But that was a very different kind of crime compared to what might have happened here. Bryce Brogal had been missing for 2 days, and his disappearance was highly suspicious. And he even admitted that he'd threatened Bryce before.
He just said, if I ever see another bruise on her, I said I won't be having words with you.
But he seemed to anticipate this line of questioning.
Doing something to him wouldn't change my daughter in that way. She's got to come to the conclusion that I don't want this anymore if she's being abused. And as much as it hurts and hard, I got to let her make that decision. I mean, I can't,
Sometimes it's not even doing so. I have daughters myself, and I just a little bit you told me.
Yeah.
I can tell this is torn you off.
Yeah.
Her being away with him, them controlling her. You never know when you're going to see her or hear from her again.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what I would do.
Yeah. No,
and it might be just something as far as I'm going to scare the living shit out of this kid and keep him away from my daughter.
Talking to the investigators outside the storage unit. He always used the past tense to refer to Bryce.
He wouldn't stop. He's the type that he thinks he's overly smart. He always bragged about when he took tests, he scored off the charts. And I just told him that usually people that talk like that are dumb. But that was what he was. And I've talked with, I'm in counseling. And talked with her, and it's the same thing. I realized that I've got to let her do it. No, I thought you were with my phone. I was okay.
No, my phone.
So, yeah.
Well, like I say, I'm a dad.
No, yeah.
I understand. I mean, from what you're describing.
Yeah. I have another daughter to watch out for and take care of. And I'm not going to put that in jeopardy. I'm not going to put going to prison in jeopardy. Being away from my family, my girls.
Yep.
And that's not worth it. And again, it'd mean more to me to see my daughter say, I don't want you anymore. I want to be done with you because you hurt me. And then if he won't leave her alone, do it through the proper channels of a restraining order. Or if he's beating her, go through the proper channels and get him arrested. And that's how I want to beat him. I want to beat him with this versus these. Or have somebody else beat him. I'm not. So.
Well, at this point in time, I hope you feel like we're just doing our job.
Yeah.
And we hope that you would be able to tell us whatever you know.
I have told you everything that I know and
Is there any surprises when we get more of the phone data back from either your phone, his phone?
Shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be is usually an answer that tells me that there's something.
I nothing from my phone. I mean, I'm all over the place. I mean,
When you had it, were people calling? Did you answer a phone?
No, I didn't answer anything. Actually shut it off.
When did it get turned back on?
I never did.
It's been on.
Then I never did.
It doesn't go through your voicemail.
Because I never turned it on. Maybe I didn't shut it off. No, there shouldn't be anything. I mean, I'm all over the countryside, here and there and everywhere. So I'm in the woods deer hunting or.
At the end of the interview, the investigators found no record of an outstanding warrant for Bryce Brogal's arrest, nor any indication that he had ever been taken into custody. They also confirmed that they searched the gas station in Brainerd for both of his cell phones and located them in a garbage can, just as Michael had claimed he had disposed of them.
Who's that by the truck right now? Is that Mike that's
he's
the back of the truck?
Yeah, looks like he's putting ice in the back.
Did he stop in the store? And buy ice, I'm assuming then?
Yeah. I think that's what he bought. That's what bag size looked about right for it.
When investigators examined the data on Michael's phone, they discovered that he had left home at 4:45 a.m. on October 27th, the day after Bryce went missing, and returned to his storage unit. He spent 22 minutes there before heading to a public land area near Lake Edward, where he stayed for an hour. It was becoming more apparent that the storage unit might be the scene of a crime. On October 29th, the police executed a search warrant on the unit. On the concrete floor, they found a bottle of bleach containing traces of both Bryce and Michael's DNA, remnants of a substance that tested positive for blood, and marks that appeared to be made by something heavy being dragged on a sled. Then, on October 30th, the investigators traced Michael's phone location data to an isolated spot near Lake Edward in the woods. This location was far from civilization, not the kind of place one would accidentally stumble upon.
So it's a sandy, previously dug area that they broke off branches and stuck them in the ground,
Fresh leaves on top.
and then fresh leaves on top. But it's,
This is probably animals.
we kind of dug down with their boots about 6-8 inches and don't see anything. But this is probably, it's really odd.
The investigation into Bryce's disappearance quickly turned chilling. As the authorities uncovered more details, it became clear that Michael Lex was deeply implicated in the murder. 2 days after Bryce went missing, Michael's 2 half-siblings came forward, telling the police that Michael had confessed to them. Michael had returned from speaking with investigators on October 28th and asked to borrow his sister Jen's car, claiming he was worried the police would follow his truck. When she asked him why, he told her he needed to bury Bryce's body and confessed that he had shot him in the back of the head. He said they would never find the body and described how he used a sled to move it as it was too heavy to carry. Michael had even taken a bag of leaves from Jen's garage to cover the body after burying it. The sled, later found in a ditch on the way to the storage unit, was covered with a blanket and had dried red-brown stains on it. Jen, after hearing this shocking confession, immediately called her brother Patrick, Michael's half-brother, who worked as a night shift clerk in Peat Lakes. Trusting the police, Patrick went to them and asked to remain anonymous. He revealed that Michael had often spoken of his belief that Bryce was abusive toward Cordelia. However, Michael's claims to the investigators that Cordelia needed to recognize Bryce was toxic on her own had been lies. In November 2022, Michael was arrested for the murder. He was charged with second-degree murder without premeditation after it was discovered that he had shot Bryce in the back of the head at the storage unit and moved his body on a sled to a remote location in the woods, where he buried it. Despite his efforts to clean up the storage unit and cover up the dig site, the evidence against him was mounting. The investigation also uncovered a chilling conversation between Michael and the landlord in Washington State, where Michael had asked if Bryce had ever hurt his daughter. When the landlord revealed that he had seen Cordelia with 2 black eyes, Michael said he was going to kill Bryce and that the grave was already dug. This confession was backed up by Michael's half-brother, Patrick, and aligned with other pieces of evidence. Further investigation revealed that Michael had taken one of his guns, which he stored at Jen's house, and claimed he needed it to kill a rodent at a job site just hours before Bryce's return. It was clear this wasn't an impulsive act, but a cold-blooded, premeditated murder. On March 30th, 2023, the charge was upgraded to first-degree murder, and Michael was indicted by a grand jury. His trial took place in 2024, where Michael took the stand, claiming that Bryce had been abusive. He spoke of times he had seen Cordelia with bruises, though she had denied them. Michael also claimed that Cordelia had asked him to come and get her during her trip, but she never shared her location. A few days later, she said everything was fine. During the trial, Cordelia maintained that her relationship with Bryce had never been physically violent, and her social media posts supported this. Even after her father was arrested, Cordelia continued to mourn Bryce publicly. On October 31st, she wrote, "A very special person was taken from me, but I know now that he will never leave. He's my guardian angel forever. I love you so much, Bryce." She continued to post about him on Facebook, never supporting her father's claims. Michael admitted to killing Bryce, but denied that it had been premeditated. He claimed that he brought Bryce to the storage unit to provoke a fight, hoping to press charges and keep Bryce away from his daughter. He said that during their confrontation, Bryce threatened Cordelia, saying, "She is mine, and she is my business, and I will kill her before ever giving her up." This, Michael said, was when he shot Bryce in the heat of the moment to protect his daughter. However, the jury disagreed. In April 2024, they found Michael guilty of first-degree premeditated murder and a lesser charge of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Cordelia continues to remember Bryce, sharing her grief on social media. In March 2024, she wrote about Bryce and another loss, saying, "I think about you and Bryce all the time." What do you think about this tragic story? Was the killing really premeditated? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe, keep up with our channel, and we will see you very soon on the 3 a.m. Whisper.